The Chosen of the TIMESTREAM. The fluorescent lights of Memorial Hospital hummed their usual monotonous tune as Emma Crawford moved through the corridors of the emergency ward. 28 years old, dark hair pulled back in a practical ponytail, she represented everything ordinary about human existence. Her sneakers squeaked against linoleum floors that had seen thousands of footsteps before hers. Nothing about this Thursday evening suggested that reality itself was about to shatter. "Emma, we need you in room 7. Cardiac patient, unstable." The charge nurse's voice crackled through the intercom. Emma grabbed her equipment and rushed down the hallway. Room 7. A middle-aged man lay gasping on the bed, his face gray, monitor screaming irregular heartbeats. The doctor barked orders: medications, defibrillator, standard protocol for a failing heart. But as Emma placed her hands on the patient's chest to begin compressions, something extraordinary happened. Heat. Not the warmth of human touch, but something ancient and powerful surging through her veins like liquid starlight. Her palms began to glow, a soft, ethereal blue light that seemed to pulse with cosmic rhythm. The patient's erratic heartbeat suddenly synchronized with her own. His color returned, his breathing steadied. The monitor showed a normal rhythm. Emma yanked her hands back, stumbling against the medical cart. The glow faded instantly. The doctor and nurses stared at the monitor in confusion, then at the now stable patient, then at their equipment. "Must have been a monitor malfunction," the doctor muttered, though uncertainty clouded his eyes. Emma fled the room, her hands trembling. She locked herself in the supply closet, staring at her palms under the harsh light. Normal, human, no trace of that impossible radiance. "What's happening to me?" she whispered to the darkness. But the darkness had been watching, and it had an answer. Emma left the hospital 3 hours later, exhausted and rattled. The autumn night wrapped around her like a cold blanket as she walked toward the parking garage. Streetlights cast long shadows that seemed to move with purpose. She felt it before she saw it, a presence that made her skin prickle with recognition she couldn't explain. A figure emerged from the shadows between cars, tall, imposing, wrapped in a dark coat that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. But it was his eyes that stopped her breath, silver eyes that held galaxies within them, ancient beyond measure yet somehow familiar. "Emma Crawford, or should I call you by your true name, Lyraena, empress of the Aetherion dynasty." Emma's hand reached for her phone, but her body refused to run. Something deep within her core recognized this stranger. "I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just a nurse. You have the wrong person." The man stepped closer. Moonlight revealed sharp, almost alien features, softened by an expression of profound longing. "Your body may not remember, but your soul does. I am Zephyr, commander of the Celestial Guard. I have searched for you across 3 millennia and 17 dimensional rifts." "You're insane." Emma backed away. But even as she spoke, images flashed through her mind. Vast crystalline cities suspended in star clusters, armies of light beings, a throne carved from frozen time itself. Zephyr raised his hand, and reality rippled. The parking garage transformed. Suddenly, they stood on a balcony overlooking an impossible vista, a civilization of floating islands connected by bridges of pure energy, 3 moons hanging in a purple sky, ships of living metal gliding between impossible architectures. "This," Zephyr said softly, "was our home, the Aetherion Empire. You ruled it with wisdom and power that made even the stars bow. And I," his voice cracked with centuries of suppressed emotion, "I was sworn to protect you, but I failed." Emma's knees buckled, the vision intensified. She saw herself, but not herself, a woman of breathtaking power, dressed in robes woven from starlight, a crown of crystallized time upon her head. Beside her stood Zephyr, younger but unmistakable, his devotion evident in every glance. "No," Emma gasped. This isn't real. This can't be real. 3,000 years ago, the Shadow Council, beings who feed on the destruction of civilizations, launched their final assault on Aetherion. You stood at the heart of our capital, channeling the Empire's entire power core to seal them away. But the energy required was beyond mortal comprehension. Your physical form couldn't contain it. Zephyr's silver eyes glistened with ancient grief. You didn't die. You transcended. Your consciousness fragmented across the time stream, reborn again and again, living human lives while your true essence slept. Until now. The vision faded. They were back in the parking garage. Emma sat on the cold concrete, tears streaming down her face from memories that weren't hers but somehow were. "Why now?" she whispered. "Why after 3,000 years?" Zephyr knelt before her, his immortal face grave. "Because they're waking up. The Shadow Council. The seal you created is failing, and Earth, your current home, is directly in their path of consumption." Emma didn't go home that night. She couldn't. How could she return to her studio apartment, her cat, her mundane existence, knowing that cosmic horror approached and somehow, impossibly, she was the key to stopping it? Zephyr took her to an abandoned observatory on the city's outskirts. But once they stepped through its doors, the decrepit building transformed into a sanctuary of alien technology. Holographic displays showing star charts, temporal maps, and data streams in languages that Emma's nurse brain shouldn't understand, but somehow did. "This has been my base of operations for the past 60 years, Zephyr explained, his coat dissolving to reveal armor that seemed crafted from starlight and shadow. "I tracked your essence here to Earth, to this city, to you, but I had to wait until your awakening began naturally. Forcing it could have destroyed your human psyche." Emma walked through the space, her fingers trailing over surfaces that hummed with recognition. "How many times," she asked quietly, "how many times have I been reborn?" 47 lives across different worlds, each one lasting a normal lifespan, each one with you having no memory of who you truly were. I found you 12 times before, but each time you died before full awakening. Accidents, illness, age. The Shadow Council has agents everywhere ensuring you never reach your full potential. And the other 35 times, I wasn't fast enough, didn't reach you in time." The weight of centuries of failure hung in his voice. Emma turned to face him. "You said you were my guardian, but the way you looked at me in those memories, that wasn't just duty." Zephyr's composed facade cracked. "No, it wasn't." He raised his hand and holographic images materialized, memories preserved through technology beyond human comprehension. Emma watched her other self, Lyraena, laughing at a celebration, Zephyr beside her, saw them standing together watching a nebula birth, witnessed a moment in a garden of crystalline flowers where Lyraena reached up and touched Zephyr's face with impossible tenderness. "You were my empress. I was your guardian. Our love violated every protocol, broke every rule of the Celestial Guard. Guardians must remain emotionally detached to be effective, but protocols and rules meant nothing when you smiled at me, when you trusted me with not just your safety, but your heart." "What happened?" Emma asked, though part of her already knew. "The night of the final battle, the Shadow Council sent an assassin, someone I trusted, someone within our own ranks. I was lured away from your side by a false emergency. Those 5 minutes I was gone, 5 minutes. That's all they needed to strike. When I returned, you were already channeling the power core, already dying to save our empire. I couldn't stop you, couldn't even hold you as you dissolved into the time stream." Emma felt tears on her cheeks, but were they hers or Lyraena's? "For 3,000 years you've been searching for me? For 3,000 years I've been failing you repeatedly, but not this time. This time I will not let you face them alone. This time we finish what we started." Emma walked to a holographic display showing Earth, her Earth. with all its beauty and flaws, its 7 billion souls unaware of the darkness approaching. She thought of her parents, the Crawfords who adopted her as a baby, who loved her unconditionally. Her best friend Sophie, who knew all her secrets except this impossible one. Her patients, who trusted her with their lives. "I'm not her," Emma said. "I'm not Lyraena. I don't remember how to command armies or channel empire power cores. I can barely keep my plants alive. How am I supposed to fight something that destroyed an entire galactic civilization?" Zephyr moved beside her, his presence both alien and achingly familiar. "Because she's still in there. Your power awakened tonight in that hospital room. The seal on your memories is breaking. Given time, you'll remember everything, every battle, every strategic victory, every moment of your reign." "How much time do we have?" Zephyr's expression darkened. "The Shadow Council will breach their prison in 72 hours. When they do, they'll target Earth first because they can sense you here. They'll consume this world's life force to rebuild their strength, then spread across this galaxy like a plague. 72 hours. 3 days. Emma thought of the millions who would die, unaware their world was about to end. "Then we don't have time for gentle awakenings," she said, her voice hardening with a resolve that came from somewhere deeper than Emma Crawford, night shift nurse. "You said forcing the process could destroy my human psyche, but if I don't try, everyone on Earth dies anyway." "Lyraena," Zephyr breathed, her true name like a prayer. "Show me," Emma demanded. "Show me how to remember. Show me how to be what I was. Show me how to save my world."
The chamber Zephyr led her to existed in a pocket dimension adjacent to Earth, a space where time moved differently, where 3 days could become 3 weeks of intensive training. The walls pulsed with temporal energy that made Emma's head spin. "This will be agonizing," Zephyr warned, his silver eyes filled with concern. "Your human neural pathways weren't designed to handle 3 millennia of memories simultaneously. The process of reintegration could shatter your mind." Emma sat in the center of an array of crystalline pillars that hummed with power. "I'm already shattered. I'm a puzzle piece that doesn't know which puzzle it belongs to. Maybe it's time to see the full picture, no matter how much it hurts." Zephyr knelt before her, placing his hands on either side of her face. The touch sent electricity through her entire being. "I will anchor you," he said softly. "If you start to fragment, I'll pull you back. I won't lose you again. Not to the time stream, not to madness, not to anything." "Promise me something," Emma whispered, staring into those ancient eyes. "If this destroys who I am now, Emma, the human, don't mourn her. She was just a mask anyway, right?" "No." Zephyr's voice was fierce. "Emma Crawford is as real as Lyraena. Every life you've lived has been real, has mattered. The woman you are now, your compassion, your dedication to healing, your love for terrible coffee and worse television, that's not a mask. That's you too. The awakening doesn't erase Emma. It completes her." Emma managed a shaky smile. "Terrible television? You've been watching me?" "For 3 months. You have concerning taste in reality shows." Despite everything, Emma laughed. Then she nodded. "I'm ready." Zephyr activated the pillars. Pain. Not physical, worse. Her consciousness exploded outward as 3,000 years of memories crashed through her like a tsunami. She saw the birth of Aetherion, felt the weight of a crown, commanded fleets of starships, made decisions that affected billions. She remembered Zephyr, not just as her guardian, but as her lover, her confidant, the one person in the entire empire who saw Lyraena, not just the empress. She remembered their first kiss under a meteor shower on a desert moon, remembered the way he held her during moments of crushing political pressure, remembered making love while galaxies wheeled overhead, 2 beings of immense power allowing themselves to be vulnerable with each other. She remembered the war, the Shadow Council's horrifying advance, worlds going dark, consumed utterly. The impossible choice: let the Empire fall or sacrifice herself to seal the enemy away. She remembered Zephyr's face when he returned to find her dying, the raw anguish that broke through his stoic warrior exterior. Remembered her last words to him: "Find me. However long it takes, find me." And she remembered dying, not the end, but a transformation, her consciousness scattering across time itself, reborn again and again, each life a new chapter in an endless story. Emma Crawford, nurse, but before that, Maria Santos, teacher. Before that, Yuki Tanaka, artist. Before that, dozens more. Each one real, each one her. When she opened her eyes, they glowed with blue radiance. "Zephyr," she said, and her voice carried harmonics of power that made the air shimmer. I remember everything." He was still kneeling before her, hands on her face, tears streaming down his immortal features. "Welcome home, my empress, my Lyraena." But she shook her head gently. "Not just Lyraena. I'm Emma, too. I'm all of them. Every life, every name, every moment. The Shadow Council wanted to erase me by scattering my essence across time. Instead, they made me stronger. I'm not just an empress anymore. I'm 47 lifetimes of experience, wisdom, love, and loss." Emma stood, and reality itself seemed to acknowledge her presence. The crystalline pillars bowed. The temporal energies swirled around her like respectful courtiers. "How do you feel?" Zephyr asked, standing with her. "Like I've been asleep for 3,000 years and just woken up. Like I've been wearing clothes that didn't fit and finally found ones that do." She turned to him, seeing him now with layered perception, the devoted guardian, the forbidden lover, the friend who never gave up searching. "And I'm grateful. You kept your promise. You found me." "I will always find you," Zephyr replied, "across any distance, any time, any dimension." Emma reached up, cupping his face, the way Lyraena had in the memory. "Then let's finish this. Together. Not as empress and guardian, as equals. As partners. As lovers." The vulnerability in his voice, this ancient, powerful warrior, broke her heart and mended it simultaneously. "Yes," Emma smiled, "as lovers who have 3,000 years of lost time to make up for. But first," her expression hardened with imperial authority, "first, we have an ancient evil to destroy." The Shadow Council's prison began fracturing exactly 72 hours after Emma's awakening, just as Zephyr predicted. The ruptures appeared first as tears in space-time across Earth's orbit, wounds in reality that bled darkness. Emma stood on a platform in low Earth orbit, held aloft by power that came as naturally to her now as breathing. She wore no armor, no empress robes, just her nurse's scrubs, deliberately chosen, a reminder of who she'd become, not just who she'd been. Beside her, Zephyr commanded a fleet of automated defense drones, every piece of Aetherion technology he'd managed to preserve across millennia. It wasn't much compared to the Empire's full military might, but it would have to be enough. "They're coming," Zephyr announced, his sensors reading the dimensional fractures. 3 Vanguard entities first. They'll test your strength before the full council emerges. Emma nodded, her hands beginning to glow with that same blue radiance. But now she understood it. Temporal energy, the very fabric of time itself responding to her will. "How does it feel to fight beside me instead of just protecting me?" "Terrifying," Zephyr admitted. "When I was just your guardian, I could throw myself between you and any danger. Now we're equals in this battle. I can't shield you from everything." "Good," Emma replied. "I never wanted a shield. I wanted a partner." The first entity emerged from a rift, a massive, writhing thing of darkness and wrongness that made Emma's human instincts scream to flee. It had no fixed form, just endless hunger given terrible purpose. Its presence alone caused satellites to malfunction and auroras to twist into sickly colors. "Behind me," Zephyr moved instinctively. "Beside me," Emma corrected, and unleashed her power. The blue radiance exploded from her hands, but it wasn't destructive energy, it was time itself weaponized. Where her power touched the entity, its timeline reversed. Centuries of feeding and growing undone in seconds. The creature shrieked in frequencies that shattered windows across 3 continents as it was forced backward through its own existence, until it simply never was. "One down," Emma breathed, already sensing the next arrival. 2 more entities burst through simultaneously, learning from their predecessor's fate. They split their approach, trying to flank her, but Zephyr's drones swarmed one while Emma focused on the other. Their coordination was perfect. 3,000 years of longing and separation had created an understanding deeper than any battle plan. The second entity fell to Emma's temporal manipulation, the third to Zephyr's specialized weapons that targeted dimensional anchors. "The Vanguard is eliminated," Zephyr reported. "But the main prison is almost completely shattered. The entire Shadow Council will emerge in minutes. Emma," he turned to her, his face grave, "there are 12 of them, elder beings of pure entropy. Facing them all at once, even with your full power—" "I know," Emma interrupted gently. "I remember. That's why last time I had to use the power core of an entire empire. That's why I died." "There has to be another way," Zephyr insisted desperately. "We can evacuate Earth, seal the system, contain them somehow, and let them eventually break free and consume another galaxy, another civilization." Emma shook her head. "This ends today, Zephyr, one way or another." The prison shattered completely.
12 entities emerged, massive beyond comprehension, each one a concentration of entropic force that had devoured countless worlds. They surrounded Emma and Zephyr's position, their presence causing space itself to decay. Stars in the background dimmed. The Earth below experienced worldwide aurora displays as its magnetosphere struggled against their wrongness. The largest entity spoke, its voice like dying universes. "The Empress returns. How many times must we destroy you?" Emma felt Zephyr tense beside her, preparing for a fight they couldn't win. She felt the Earth below, billions of lives unaware of the battle being waged for their survival. She felt the weight of 47 lifetimes of experience, love, loss, and rebirth. And she realized something the Shadow Council hadn't. "You didn't destroy me," Emma said, her voice carrying across the void. "You transformed me. You scattered my essence across time, thinking it would erase me. Instead, you gave me something Lyraena never had: perspective." She began to glow brighter, but not with the blue of temporal energy. This was different, a white radiance that seemed to come from somewhere deeper than power, deeper than physics. Lyraena ruled an empire. She had power and wisdom. But Emma? Emma learned compassion in 47 lifetimes. She learned what it means to be ordinary, to struggle, to love without the weight of crowns and duty. She learned that the smallest life has infinite value. The light intensified, spreading from Emma's form like a wave. Emma Crawford held dying patients and gave them comfort in their final moments. Yuki Tanaka painted beauty from pain. Maria Santos taught children that they mattered. Every single life I lived taught me something Lyraena never knew, that real power isn't domination, it's connection. Zephyr stared at her in awe as understanding dawned.
You're not going to fight them. No, Emma smiled. I'm going to heal them. Impossible, the Shadow Council roared. We are entropy. We are ending. We cannot be healed. Everything can be healed, Emma replied, and her radiance touched the first entity. You weren't born as destruction. Something made you this way. Some ancient hurt, some cosmic trauma twisted you into creatures of pure consumption. I can feel it, the pain beneath the hunger. The entity recoiled, but her light had already touched it, and for the first time in eons, it remembered. Before the hunger, before the darkness, when it had been something else, something that knew joy. Let me show you, Emma whispered, and her power exploded outward. It wasn't temporal energy, it wasn't imperial night, it was something she'd learned across 47 lifetimes of being human. The power of empathy, of understanding, of refusing to see even cosmic horrors as beyond redemption. The white radiance engulfed all 12 entities. Emma felt their pain, their ancient trauma, the moment when something had broken them, turned them from neutral cosmic forces into destroyers, and she healed it. The process should have destroyed her. The weight of 12 elder beings' accumulated suffering should have shattered any consciousness. But Emma wasn't just one person anymore. She was 47 lives, 47 different perspectives, 47 ways of understanding pain and survival. She held them all, every entity, every trauma, every moment of their endless existence, and she showed them there was another way. The Shadow Council began to change. Between two worlds. 3 weeks later, Emma sat in her apartment, her cat Luna purring in her lap. The television played some mindless reality show that Zephyr mockingly called Concerning Taste in Entertainment, from where he stood at her window. To the world, there had been an unusual solar event, stunning auroras visible globally, some satellite disruptions, nothing more. Governments investigated, scientists theorized, and life went on, because Earth was very good at explaining away the impossible. The Council? Emma asked, though she already knew the answer through their permanent connection. Departing, Zephyr replied. You didn't destroy them, you transformed them. They're returning to their original purpose, cosmic forces of natural entropy, necessary for universal balance. They'll break down dying stars, recycle expired matter, maintain the natural order, but they'll no longer consume living worlds. And the Aetherion Empire? Zephyr turned from the window, his silver eyes soft. Gone. Can't be rebuilt. Too much time has passed. Too many of our people have moved on to whatever comes after. He crossed to her, kneeling beside her chair. But that's not what you're really asking. Emma stroked Luna's fur, avoiding his gaze. I remember everything now. My throne, my empire, my power. Part of me feels like I should be out there, trying to rebuild, trying to reclaim what was lost. And the other part? Wants to stay here, keep my job at the hospital, have coffee with Sophie, visit my parents on Sundays. Live the small, ordinary life of Emma Crawford. She finally looked at him. Is that selfish? Billions of worlds could benefit from Lyraena's wisdom and power, but I just want to be human. Zephyr reached up, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear with infinite gentleness. You saved the entire galaxy 3 weeks ago. I think you've earned the right to be selfish. What about you? Emma asked. You're the commander of the Celestial Guard, an immortal warrior. What happens now? Well, Zephyr smiled, a rare, genuine expression that transformed his ancient features. I've been thinking about that. 3,000 years of searching for you, I never thought about what I'd do when I actually found you and the mission was complete. And? I discovered something during your awakening. When you integrated all your lives, You integrated their lifespans too. You're not immortal exactly, but you're close. Several thousand years at least. Emma blinked. I hadn't realized that. Which means, Zephyr continued, we have time. Actual time, not stolen moments between battles or doomed romance during wartime. Just time to figure out who we are when we're not Empress and Guardian, when we're just Emma and Zephyr. You want to stay? Here? On Earth? If you'll have me, Zephyr said quietly. I can learn to be human, or at least adjacent to human. I'm adaptable. I can learn about terrible television and why you humans are obsessed with coffee that tastes like burnt water. Emma laughed, tears streaming down her face. It's going to be weird, dating someone I've been married to in a past life. Dating? Zephyr raised an eyebrow. Is that the human courtship ritual? I should research this. Are flowers still appropriate? Flowers are always appropriate, Emma confirmed, then grew serious. But Zephyr, I need you to understand I'm not just choosing you. I'm choosing both. I'm keeping my small human life and my cosmic power. I'll work at the hospital, but I'll also help worlds in need. I'll have coffee with Sophie, but I'll also mentor young civilizations. I'm not going to be just one thing anymore. Good, Zephyr replied, because I fell in love with all of you. The empress who commanded galaxies, the nurse who heals without cosmic power, the woman who somehow is both and neither and more. He stood, pulling her up with him, Luna jumping down with an annoyed meow. We have several thousand years ahead of us. We can be anything we want. Emma wrapped her arms around him, feeling the solidity of his presence, ancient and new, alien and achingly familiar. Then let's start with dinner. There's a terrible Italian place down the street with wine that would make you weep. Terrible wine and your company? Perfect. As they left her apartment, Emma caught her reflection in the mirror. For just a moment, she saw them both, Emma Crawford and Lyraena, empress of a fallen empire. Two women who were really one. Two lives that had merged into something entirely new. She smiled. The universe was vast and full of wonders. There would be new threats, new adventures, new worlds that needed help. But tonight, there was just dinner, terrible wine, and the man who'd searched 3,000 years to find her.
And somehow, impossibly, that was enough. The door closed behind them, and the story continued. Not with grand battles or cosmic drama, but with this simple act of two people walking down a city street hand in hand, choosing ordinary happiness after extraordinary trauma. Because sometimes the greatest power in the universe isn't saving worlds. It's knowing when to stop and just live in the one you've saved.